Trump is concerned with something he finds far more dangerous than disease.
Big ugly windmills, they ruin your neighborhood.
The windmills that don't work when you need them. The windmills are driving the whales crazy, obviously. Do you want to see a bird cemetery? Just go under a windmill.
You want to see a bird cemetery? You want to see a bird widow in her veil crying over the casket? An open casket. I don't know why they made that choice. It looks like a mess in there. She's squawking, it should have been me, all while throwing up in her little baby's mouths because they're hungry and Papa Bird isn't there anymore. He was murdered. It was Bird.
There's something created about him in a sense of bulliedom. But what he is, I believe, is a brat. Like an Taj Mahal. Brat. The absurdity of where his sentences might travel. You know, I mean, really, no. I mean, no. Because everything is mine. Even if I don't own it yet, I'll have it. Reagan, back in the day. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall. Donald Trump. I'm going to build a wall, a fabulous wall.
Happens when the most witty satirist on late-night TV teams up with Hollywood's most eccentric actor. You receive such a scathing roast that even Donald Trump would find it difficult to laugh about it. Tonight, we relive the historic moment when Johnny Depp and Stephen Colbert collaborated to demolish Trump's reputation, remarks, and even legacy on live television. This was a well-written autopsy of power, not just a comedy. Trump's extravagant demeanor was reduced to a caricature by Colbert and Depp's scathing quips, remarkable impersonation, and unrelenting mockery. Watch as we dissect how comedy turned into the most effective weapon against one of the most divisive politicians in American history.
It is the last day of July, meaning tonight at midnight, August 1st, Trump's basket of deplorable tariffs are going to kick in. So this is Tariff Eve, okay? Don't forget to leave out a Diet Coke and a plate of nuggets for jolly old...
Adam McKay said, how would you like to do a feature film in 4 days? And I went, I like that idea. And then he said, how would you like to play Donald Trump? And I loved that idea. I didn't care if I knew if I was capable or not. You know? I wanted to try, so I did my bit as Donald Trump. They don't really trust foreigners. You don't want to be Donald Trump. It was difficult. He speaks real weird.
Yeah.
When I spoke with Adam McKay and Owen Burke, and they were talking to me about doing it, they said, how would you like to make a feature film in 4 days because we have to get it ready for the Iowa caucus or something, or, you know, how would you like to play Donald Trump? I had no idea. I mean, it's very difficult.
You'd never imitated him before?
Never.
I just assumed they'd seen you do it at a party or something. They said, oh, that's great.
The king of late-night comedy collaborating with the most well-known pirate in the world. When Stephen Colbert and Johnny Depp attacked Donald Trump, that is precisely what transpired. What transpired was not your usual roast. Rather, it was a comedy disguised as an intellectual dissection. Trump's words, demeanor, and even his fears were all up for debate. Furthermore, what Colbert and Depp offered was a harsh mirror reflecting the inconsistencies of Trump's presidency rather than merely amusement. This narrative goes beyond jokes to explore how comedy evolved into resistance and how parody exposed realities that politics frequently attempted to conceal.
Trump has hated windmills. Trump has hated windmills ever since 2011 when he unsuccessfully tried to stop an offshore wind farm from being built near one of his Scottish golf courses. Now he's taking his revenge. The White House ordered its agencies to escalate the fight against offshore wind. Yes, the fight against wind has begun. Mimes of America, assemble!
Politicians, journalists, and activists have all criticized Donald Trump, but few of their remarks were as damaging as those made by two unlikely allies, Stephen Colbert and Johnny Depp. They combined to make Trump into a living cartoon, which was both amusing and degrading. Their goal was to show the weakness behind Trump's bluster, not to make cheap insults. A deeper message was conveyed by each twisted word and exaggerated gesture, that power without content inevitably turns into its own joke. We'll take you inside the roast tonight, which merged political takedown with entertainment.
With Adam McKay and Owen Burke, and they were talking to me about doing it. They said, how would you like to make a feature film in 4 days because we have to get it ready for the Iowa caucus or something, or, how would you like to play Donald Trump? I had no idea. I mean, it's very different.
You never imitated him before?
Never.
I just assumed they'd seen you do it at a party or something. They said, oh, that's great.
Satire flourished during the Trump administration, as comedy has always flourished during chaotic times. But when Johnny Depp and Stephen Colbert teamed up, they produced something truly unique, a humorous deconstruction that was both entertaining and incisive. Colbert's sharp humor and Depp's bizarre imitation made everything Trump spoke hilarious. However, beneath the laughter lay a darker reality, the ease with which political theater can degenerate into absurdity. This is more than simply a roast. It's an example of how comedy can hold leaders responsible when facts are insufficient.
Trump is putting together a crack squad to find reasons to attack power. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Howard Lutnick, and Pete Hegseth are part of a departmental coalition team to investigate the risks from offshore wind farms. Investigate them well, boys. Get right up close under those spinning turbines. Just really live in, okay? Get in there.
Trump once claimed that being laughed at, rather than disliked, was his worst fear. On live television, that fear was realized when Johnny Depp and Stephen Colbert pieced together his image. This roast was remarkable not only because of the jokes but also because of how authentic they felt. Trump's peculiarities, fears, and even policies were reframed in ways that revealed their ridiculousness. It was entertaining for the crowd. It was humiliation for Trump. We'll look at how one night of satire muddled the distinctions between political accountability, comedy, and truth in this video.
Very specific.
Yeah.
Were you telling all the Mexicans to get offset?
I told them to build me that wall.
I'm going to build a wall.
I want a sensational wall. A fabulous wall.
Oh no, I'm going to have to pay for it. Because you know what? Mexico's going to pay for it.
I don't remember what the question was, but it doesn't matter because I'm not going to answer it anyway.
When you combine Stephen Colbert's scathing humor with Johnny Depp's weirdness on stage, what do you get? Donald Trump was the direct target of a demolition derby. This was no ordinary late-night comedy sketch. Rather, it was a methodical dissection of Trump's character, written with a sense of humor that remained painful long after the laughter subsided. Together, Colbert and Depp portrayed Trump in a way that was more credible than the real one by mimicking his speech and body language. We explore how this roast evolved into one of the most famous satirical attacks on a sitting president, going beyond simple amusement.
Fans of random economic chaos will remember that back in April, Trump claimed that he had tons of deals under his belt, saying, "I've made 200 deals." On the other hand, no, he didn't. The deadline is here, and he's only made 8 deals because his demands are insane. And though he says this is all about, trade fairness.
That some roasts, you are forced to think by others. However, both were accomplished, and in a disastrous way, when Stephen Colbert and Johnny Depp mocked Donald Trump. Everything was up for debate, including Trump's rallies, his fixation on size, and his erratic speech patterns. Colbert's comments skillfully transformed Trump's shortcomings into jokes, while Depp's performance drove parody into unimaginable territory. What came out was a picture of a frail guy caught in his own contradictions rather than a strong leader. This was more than just satire. It served as a reminder that comedy may occasionally expose realities that politicians cannot.
Mexico. Okay. No. A fabulous wall. Sensational wall. And all of my billions are not going to have to pay for it. No, really. No. Because you know what? Mexico's going to pay for it. Really.
It began as a humorous part. In the end, it turned out to be one of the most scathing criticisms of Donald Trump ever broadcast on television. Together, Johnny Depp's strange yet masterful mimicry and Stephen Colbert's scathing humor destroyed Trump in front of millions of people. Yes, the act was funny, but it was also eerie. Trump's peculiarities turned into exaggerations, his shortcomings into jokes, and his presidency into a play. Tonight, We look back at the moment when comedy was used to expose power rather than just as amusement. The roast was memorable in addition to being humorous.
Trump is also imposing a 25% tariff on India, saying they have always bought a vast majority of their military equipment from Russia at a time when everyone wants Russia to stop the killing in Ukraine. Whoa, hold on, Jack. Did he just accuse someone else of cozying up to Russia? I haven't seen that level of projection since the ill-fated memoir, No, You're Malone.
Although image has always been Donald Trump's obsession, nothing could have prepared him for the evening that Johnny Depp and Stephen Colbert made fun of that image. Their roast was a combination of political criticism, performance art, and parody. Together, Depp and Colbert portrayed Trump in such a ridiculous way that viewers were unable to distinguish between the parody and the real Trump. Depp also conveyed Trump's ungainly body, while Colbert dismantled his words. This wasn't merely a late-night joke. Rather, it demonstrated the vulnerability of Trump's meticulously constructed image. We examine the roast that Trump was unable to avoid in further detail.
Which, remember, American citizens and companies pay are different depending on the country we're importing the product from. Countries that negotiated with Trump, like the EU, face levies of like 10 to 15%. But if the president's mad at you, they can be much higher. For instance, Trump doubled tariffs on India to 50%, which will raise the price of items like gauze, bandages, and wadding.
For Donald Trump, laughter turned into his worst nightmare, despite the saying that it's the best medicine. Fans are still raving about the spectacle that resulted from Stephen Colbert and Johnny Depp's joint roast of him on live television. Depp dramatized Trump's every move, while Colbert transformed his remarks into comedic sketches, creating a picture of a leader torn apart by his own folly. It was a dismantling, not merely entertainment, that took place on that stage. And tonight, we explain why this roast was significant historically in addition to being humorous.
Trump was asked, how would it affect the market?
On the monthly job report, going forward, why should anyone trust the numbers?
Well, that's
And if
the big
you're-
thing. You're right. No, you're right. Why should anybody trust numbers?
No, why should they? No, it's true. You can't trust numbers. 1 is the loneliest. 3 is a magic number, and I'm hearing absolutely terrible things about 7 regarding the mysterious disappearance of 9. 6 was so terrified.
Nobody anticipated how vicious Donald Trump's next few minutes would be until the cameras started rolling. Johnny Depp and Stephen Colbert weren't there to make jokes, they were there to expose. While Colbert's analysis sliced through the bravado to expose a guy characterized more by ego than achievement, Depp's mimicry turned Trump into a hideous caricature. It was funny to the audience. It was disastrous for Trump. On this night, parody struck more forcefully than politics, and laughing grew sharper than criticism. As we analyze the roast that left Trump speechless, stay tuned.
Can we bring Trump here? No, just to, no, you misunderstood.
Just to give him some love and rehabilitation.
I think he needs help. There's going to be a new person, it'll be harder. But I like that you're all a part of it. When was the last time an actor assassinated a president? I want to clarify, I'm not an actor.
Numerous people have made fun of Donald Trump, but rarely with the accuracy of Johnny Depp and Stephen Colbert. Pulling back the curtain on Trump's presidency was the goal of their roast, not merely to make the audience laugh. Each joke was effective because it revealed something about his erratic communication style, his fragile ego, and his concern with size. Colbert provided the criticism, Depp the parody, and together they produced a destructive performance from which Trump could never recover. Tonight, we examine how a single live television moment in political comedy became a cultural landmark. People will remember the humor of the Trump administration more than the politics when history looks back on it. The moment when Stephen Colbert and Johnny Depp roasted Trump so viciously that it felt like a public unmasking was one of the best examples of that. While Depp's spoof emphasized Trump's shortcomings in the theater, Colbert's comedy revealed the hollowness of his discourse. Together, they produced an eerie and humorous spectacle that will never be forgotten. This was a cultural moment, not only a joke. And we dissect it piece by piece tonight.